was probably more around how you approach the issue of offering these new products and people not necessarily taking them up. So do you go with an idea of limiting existing product cover amounts and then evolving a product that perhaps works from a TPD perspective in terms of, I don't know, like I said, stage payouts or something like that, that you can then, you're almost forcing people to only have a certain amount under one level, and then you've got this other product that, you know, there's been collaboration across the market, so that removes that first mover disadvantage to evolve around subjective conditions, particularly mental health.
Okay, so we'll ask our Zurich colleagues about that, but we'll slide up the table and go through Eugene first when it comes to just asking your view before we talk to Joanna and Tim about more tailored product offers and whether or not that can be achieved.
Sure, why not? I mean, at the moment, you know, there's lots of different insurers offering different levels of quality of different covers at different price points. Why not have, and you know, you already got any and O and TPD level of products. I've got no issue with having cheaper products that perhaps have a narrower cover, you know, no issue with that. What I've potentially got an issue with is it does create an issue, a risk management issue for advisors, moving clients from a policy with broader cover to a policy with narrower cover, if they could have been better off under the original policy. Yes, there's a process, but with complex products like insurance, well, TPD, income protection, trauma, life's pretty simple. It's really hard to articulate that. Clients often aren't paying attention, forget, and it can cause a lot of issues. So as a licensee whose business is largely risk management, that will cause an issue for us, and it does cause issues for us in the income protection space, right? But that's just one small piece of the puzzle. Having a different range of products, yeah, sure, why not?
If I can just expand on that. So the question would be, why am I moving a client from any or own occupation TPD to these new kinds of products? Predominantly, I imagine, would be price, right? Mm-hmm. Premium, volatility. If that's my basis, how can I guarantee, and I don't have a solution to this, that that's not going to happen in the new iteration of the product? I know so I think that's the struggle with getting advisors to go onto the newer iterations, is that there's been an erosion of trust, not only at the consumer or customer and insurer level, but client, advisor, insurer, and even more broadly, where we've seen our referral partners, who's also a client, say, well, is this really worth it? So,
you're talking about that erosion of trust as it relates to perhaps the possibility of changing policies for existing clients as opposed to the development of new policies for new clients.
I think it feeds in. So it's very difficult for existing clients because you're saying, oh, go into this new product. You know, pricing, well, it's difficult to make a basis because you have no guarantee around pricing, and there never is, or there never has been.
That's a good point.
But for new clients, it's the same thing in terms of, well, am I going to put them on this new product and in 10 years' time or 5 years' time see the same premium increases? I think they're one and the same, personally.
Okay, all right. So as we turn to Joanna and Tim to continue the conversation, you've heard from the sharper end of the market, I guess, the representatives, the advisor and the licensee community. Zurich's one of a couple of firms that has introduced a new TPD offer of recent times. I guess as an insurer, you'd want to offer brilliant products that cater to the whole community and have it commercially viable, I guess, but it's easier said than done.
That is true. Where to begin? So I think as an insurer, we want to offer products that meet consumer needs in the most affordable way possible. And if I may talk a little bit about our product that we launched. So we very much approached it from the perspective of what are advisors currently using TPD to cover. And it's the pay off the mortgage, put food on the table. It's all of that, and then medical expenses, carer costs, home modifications. So we looked at our data and kind of realised that often people are unable to work, they need to pay off the mortgage and they need to put food on the table, but they don't need to modify their house and they don't incur significant medical expenses and they don't need somebody to take care of them. And that cost for someone to take care of them and to modify the house, that's a huge cost, but it very often doesn't evolve as a need, because if you've got mental health, if you've got a minor pain condition, you don't need to modify your house. So that's where the idea of our product came up, is like, these are two very different needs that one blunt solution is currently fixing. So let's split it out and have TPD as it is, meet mortgage need, etc., and have our new continuous care product meet those home modification carer needs, because that eventuates far more rarely. It means that it's able to be priced significantly cheaper, 70% cheaper than standalone ANIOC TPD. There's no guaranteeing that price, which I'm hearing you, that's a problem. But the absolute dollar savings are quite sort of material by designing to meet a customer need.
Okay, so it's early days with continuous care as a different sort of offer. How are you finding engagement so far?
Look, not great, to be honest. I think what we're realising is that actually to get good engagement does require more of this working together that David referenced. With advisors, with licensees, in terms of revisiting risk philosophy and really talking through, what does best interest mean? Does it mean the product that will give you the most benefits, or does it mean the product that will meet your needs at an affordable price point? Balancing all of that. How do you balance out those two things, I think is the challenge, and it requires a pretty big, I think, shift in mindset.
Okay, Ed.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's worth noting, I want to mention that it's important that our products meet customer needs, and we've spoken a little bit about mental health and the role it's playing in the TPD experience, but we need to reiterate that we do need a solution that covers mental health. It's not that we don't want to cover mental health moving forward. We're seeing 1 in 4 applications come through with their mental health disclosure, so there's a significant mental health issue in society, and we need to make sure that our products are aligned to societal needs. So whether it is a staged or a severity-based product that we're able to assess multiple times, I think there's many things we can do with mental health on its own, but it is still that people do need cover, people do need care when they're suffering from those conditions. And
okay, so let's come back to that. Let's explore perhaps those mental health insurance options in a little bit more detail in a minute, but I can just feel the reinsurers itching to say something based on the conversations that have been taking place over the last few minutes. So
sure, if I could jump in, and maybe at the risk of upsetting you, Peter, because I know you were hoping for some antagonistic or contrarian views, I will say that I just agree with Tim in terms of what he just said, in terms of absolutely acknowledging and recognising that there is a need in society for protection against mental health illness. And I don't think as an industry we should shy away from that. It's a very real illness, and it's also something that policyholders absolutely have want to be protected against. But to kind of just comment on the point Joanna made around what is best interest, what's in the best interest of the policyholder. Absolutely, it's ensuring they're indemnified at the right level of cover, that it's an affordable and a kind of a sustainable pricing point. But it's also what's in the best interest of that individual's either return to work or return to health. And right now we have a product construct where for a claimant to actually get a payout under TPD for mental health, they have to go to their GP, who otherwise should be kind of working with them to try and improve their well-being and try and reduce this level of mental health illness that they're facing into. But instead, because of a product or a policy that they have, they absolutely need to be deemed as being permanently and totally disabled as a result of mental health.
That's right. So Matt, we're going to come to you in a minute, but let's explore that a bit more, because there's this conundrum about total and permanent disability, and as a claimant, you're challenged to prove to an acceptable claim level that you are totally and permanently disabled, which is totally in contradiction to what is potentially in the best interest of the claimant, to get as well as I can to be able to return to work. And this is what so many great people in life companies and reinsurers are endeavouring to structure, so that there's a pathway back. And they seem to be two contradictory policies.
Yeah. And whether it's part of the solution is, as Kristen referred to earlier, a staged payout in relation to mental health. The idea, I think, of an upfront lump sum that you can get, but only if you've been told that you will never recover, or at least right now you're permanently, incapacitated as a result of this. It's a very difficult, I think, position to be in for a person who's suffering from that mental health illness to then, they're requesting that diagnosis in some respects, but then to be told that it's very hard, I think, to come back from. But in terms of, I guess, what we can do in that area, stage payments is perhaps one.
And you would
part of
collaborate with the product manufacturers to develop that product solution to deliver that outcome?
Yeah, we work with our partners in the retail space all the time in terms of on product offerings, etc. But I think we kind of look at it collectively again as an industry, noting obviously there are competition rules that we need to be very conscious of and see if we can have a way forward on that. It's really getting clarity as to which mental health disorders should be covered by this product, and how do we assess that as an industry. And
yes, there's mental health, at least neurological disorders, which is not necessarily mental health issues, and so there's a number of things.
But are there industry definitions that we can look to implement that would kind of be specific to certain mental health disorders that are covered, and are there again industry severity thresholds that we can work within? But I think it is a very emotionally charged and a very difficult area. There is a need for mental health coverage, but at the moment this construct, as I said, in terms of needing to be told that you are permanently incapacitated as a result of your mental health illness in order to get a payout, it just in many respects just goes against what's ultimately in the best interest of the policyholder.
Indeed.
I think maybe focusing on mental health as the issue is maybe not the right way to think about it. So I think mental health is the best example, but of a more broad challenge, which is episodic and relatively difficult to define conditions.
Subjective
conditions. So Jona mentioned pain. I think musculoskeletal claims have also increased. So it's not just mental health claims that have increased. It's musculoskeletal. People that have recurring, very serious back pain, but then it goes away, and then it comes back, and then it goes away. A product which is designed for total and permanent disability is not the right response to that. That we need a better response to those sorts of conditions.
That is what we see in terms of our claims experience. So unlike any other cause of claim, if you do have a customer who is on income protection for a mental health claim, we see them moving across, if they hold TPD, to make a TPD claim at a significantly higher rate than any other cause of claim. And so when you look at that, it makes sense to say, does that setting feel right in terms of being able to say to people, here are all the supports we can offer you. The best outcome from you is to get well and to go back to work. And we do know that when we look at research that's out there around life outcomes for people living with mental health conditions, being able to participate in their daily life, being able to go to work and to live a full life means you will have a much better life outcome than if you're somebody who becomes so unwell that you're not leaving your house, you're not going to work, you're not participating in the community. So it is important that we have those settings in place, that we're not unintentionally incentivizing people to become unwell, while making sure that we are still giving people that cover they need when they are very unwell and they can't work. So it's a fine balance.